Hey Lucy, I hear you're doing a video on the Green New Deal and I'm thrilled. I'm so excited that folks are learning more about it. But if you really want to dig in, you've got to talk to Rhianna Gunn-Wright. She's the expert that we paired with to really bundle everything together. And she actually helped us write the Green New Deal. So definitely hit her up.
I'm taking AOC's advice, and on this week's episode of One Small Step, I'm sitting down with drafter Rhianna Gunn-Wright to find out why America needs a Green New Deal.
This is about not just dealing with climate change, but dealing with it in a way that's going to make the average American far better off.
I'm Lucy Biggers, and this is One Small Step. Small steps are great because they inspire action and influence our culture for the better. But if we're going to address climate change at the scale and scope that it requires, we're going to need big, massive steps. That's why a resolution like the Green New Deal, which was introduced by Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and 65 Democratic co-sponsors in February 2019, is so exciting. It offers a roadmap for shifting our entire economy away from fossil fuels, while also securing jobs and other needs for all Americans. I'm excited to sit down with Rhianna Gunn-Wright, the policy lead for the progressive think tank New Consensus and an architect of the Green New Deal. Thank you so much for being here with us.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
So in your own words, can you just summarize what's in the Green New Deal?
So I think the first thing about the Green New Deal is that there are 5 goals, but largely people think about 3. The first is dealing with climate change on the scale, speed, and scope necessary. So what we're calling for is a 10-year mobilization. The next thing is creating millions of high-quality jobs for Americans across the country and from whatever background that they're in. And the third is a commitment to justice and equity. So that means who's hurting the most? How do we care for them? How do we protect everyday Americans from the transformations in the market, the changes in the workforce, right? How do we make sure that people can take these good jobs, right? Do they need childcare? Do they need healthcare, et cetera? The resolution also has 14 projects that it lays out. Some of the big ones people like to talk about are decarbonizing the power sector, decarbonizing transportation, upgrading every home and building so that it's more energy efficient, and building a smart grid. There's also an attention to sort of broader employment workforce issues to make sure that the transition actually benefits everyone and everyone actually ends up at the end with a better economy for an everyday American than we have now.
Since the Green New Deal came out, right-wing politicians and pundits have worked tirelessly to dismiss and discredit it.
The so-called Green New Deal proposes the elimination of air travel. All air travel.
Let me say I support cows. I hope to see PETA supporting the Republican Party now that the Democrats want to kill all the cows.
No more airplanes, no more cows. 1 car per family.
These lies are really desperate. And there's so much misinformation in the media. People are saying you can't eat hamburgers, we're not gonna be allowed to fly. Like, what's your response to those misinformation, like almost misinformation campaigns?
There's a lot of fear around climate crisis and the responses to it. People instinctively understand that if you say, I'm gonna get rid of the energy that you use, we're gonna switch energy sources, that changes everything. People know that. They're looking at their cars and saying, well, I have this car, right? They're thinking about, what does it mean to have solar on my home? That's what the misinformation campaigns are designed to prey upon, a fear of uncertainty. And that's what a lot of the Green New Deal is actually designed to deal with. It's about being able to give people some certainty that there will be a safety net as we move forward, that we understand that folks are nervous about losing their jobs. That's why you see things like a jobs guarantee. But hamburgers, airplanes, none of that's in the resolution.
Right. You know, another big thing that you guys get pushed back about is like, well, how are we gonna pay for this? And so what is your answer to that?
I think sometimes that's the wrong frame for the question, right? How much is too much to save society? This is a real emergency. When we've had wars, when we've had other emergencies, when we had to bail out the banks, there was a recognition that what it costs is what it costs, right? We have a goal and we need to meet it. It's not as though we have too little money in the world. It's about how do you get that money and how do you want to spend it? There is no reality in which we don't spend money on the climate crisis. The question is, Do you want to spend it on the front end and invest in industries that we need to grow, invest in the infrastructure we need to move forward, actually position ourselves to compete right in the next 10, 20, 30 years? Or do you just want to bleed that money out through inaction?
And why a resolution versus, a specific policy?
So when you start naming policies from the outset, you're going to break your coalition because it's actually really important to get frontline communities into the process. We know that communities of color and poor communities are the most likely to deal with the worst effects of climate change. And then from the policy side, when you are talking to frontline communities, when you're involving a lot of voices, when you're involving experts from all different fields early, the questions are different, the ideas are different, and your solutions will be different.
The Senate voted 57-0 to not pass it. So is that make you feel like, oh, we lost? Or how does it?
This is not a done deal at all. There's so many things to be worked out with a Green New Deal and so many people working on it that I think we definitely have a path forward and potentially a really bright one. And I think we have a recognition that what might get passed could very well not be this, it could be this.
Right.
The point is that the goals are still met, that justice and equity is at the center, that frontline communities are protected, that everyday Americans are protected, and of course that we deal with climate change in the scale, speed, and scope that is required.
What would be the one small step you would say for people watching this video?
I would actually say read the resolution. And I think a lot of people are honestly surprised when they read the resolution and they're like, oh, there are no hamburgers or no airplanes, and you didn't say you would take away my vehicle. And I think that's just the best way to get a sense of what we're aiming at, what our vision is, what our goals are, and then for people to decide how they want to plug in.
As of this recording, 17 of the 23 Democratic candidates for president have announced support for the Green New Deal. With continued pressure from citizens, activists, and members of Congress, hopefully we'll arrive at a candidate who supports aggressive climate policy. So here's what you can do. In the 2020 election cycle, research candidates up and down the ballot who are proposing climate action and vote for them. Talk to your friends about climate change and educate them on the importance of policy. And make climate change your issue. Hold your local, state, and federal elected officials accountable. That's all for this week's episode of One Small Step. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please share it, and we'll see you next time.